Alrighty, we did a real quick trading session this morning and did it on my phone again, mainly because I got kind of a late start and I was running around the house doing stuff, and 9:30 was like on the verge of coming, and so I needed to trade very quickly and right then. So it was like, well, I don't have time to bring up the computer. So I decided just to make a trade like right before the opening bell. As you can see, this is 9:24, and I've zoomed out to the 1 hour chart here because we had a huge drop last night, and we are kind of sitting at a support level of sorts. But you can see that it's dropped down below that in recent history. And so there's actually a support level that's a little bit below it. And so I kind of marked that out. Not the very, very bottom, but like the bodies of the candles of the higher dips, I guess. We're trying to just be conservative. We don't want to take the very, very bottom, especially when it's, fairly old history here. It's over a week ago. And I also drew out a band for the consolidation area that I saw there. You can see the pink band, and actually where the squiggles that it has hit, the consolidation area that it is now forming, the latter part of the overnight session here, is just below that band, which I think is really interesting. You can kind of see very faintly the dotted red line there where it's actually sitting at the moment, the price line. If you draw that across all the way to the left there, you can see that that is the lower peak, or the lower valley, I guess, of some of that area. So all that being said, we are downtrending right now, and we have a support level that is a considerable distance below where we are, about 10 points. So that's enough that we can actually be trading on it. So then we kind of start zooming in a little bit closer. This is the 30-minute chart. The MACD is very, very low, but it is starting to lose that upward momentum and starting to drop. We can see that it has hit the support level of the red SMA there, which on the 30-minute chart is pretty strong. And it also happens to match up with the bottom of that pink band that I've drawn in. So we've got all these different things going on, showing that we have these resistance levels. I think I call them a support level, sorry. Resistance levels. I think it's going to be dropping. Now, currently, we have to be very careful here because we are sitting at a support level. This is the lower point that it just bounced off of earlier this overnight session. All right, as we zoom into the 15-minute chart, I placed a trade, but I haven't actually filled it yet. I haven't executed it. I just kind of put it in place, kind of looking at the dollar amounts that we're possibly looking at. And that's way too big of a loss possible, but I do think that's kind of where the stop should maybe be. Also note the MACD here is starting to tip over and starting to drop. And this is the 15-minute chart. So we start paying a little bit more attention to what those indicators are showing us. But we put more weight in the 5-minute and the 1-minute charts as we zoom in. Okay, and then we look at the 5-minute chart, and it's almost off the screen here, but you can see that the last dip down has actually gone below the last dip that it had before. So we are starting to drop. So at this point, I decided, well, it's 9:27. I think I better jump in. And the stop here, let's see, between 26 and 41. Oh, I should do some math. But let's see, that would be a fairly big chunk of money there. But I figured the likelihood of it going up wasn't very good, I think. So I went ahead and just placed the trade because it's getting pretty close to the opening bell, and I think it's going to be dropping pretty quickly. All right, zooming into the this is back to the 15-minute chart, and it's actually 9:30 now, and it did drop. It didn't really go up hardly at all. And you can see where my stop is, right at the, hang on one second. Okay, so it did start to drop and it's looking really good. I did lower my stop down to the SMA there. All right, and then I locked in some profit. It did drop down to the $50 point, and I was trying to raise up my limit order, but I didn't move quick enough, and it was moving very fast. So it actually stopped out at, I think, $36 or so. Yeah, there we go. So I didn't quite get the full amount that I could have if I had moved a little faster, but you know, I'm happy with $36. That's awesome. That's a great trade. Okay, so then it went up, and there was a fair amount of time that actually passed here. This is the 15-minute chart. So that rejection wick that you can see there, it went up and then came back down, and it's almost to the point where the candle began. It's almost one of those, what are they called? Dojis, where you begin and start at the same point on the candle, except it's a humongous wick. Very wide span there of almost 20 points, it looks like. Yeah, so anyway, it went up and then fell back down, and decided that it was ready for another drop. At least on the 15-minute chart, if you look at the MACD there, definitely looks like it's tipping over and dropping. So do want to be careful, because as we zoom in, the 5-minute chart actually looks like it's going up. So there is some evidence that we are going to have a little bit of an uptick before it drops. So I want to be careful not to get in too soon or get stopped out at a loss here and lose everything. And so here's a possible trade. Haven't quite filled it yet. On the 5-minute chart, we're looking at only a $30 loss. So that would be awesome, because I made 36, so I'm not losing everything that I've made. So that's actually a really good thing. And I could very potentially make $80 on this trade, which would be a phenomenal trade as well. So just kind of looking to see when I should jump in. It didn't go up anymore. It just kept dropping, and then it came back up a little bit, and I thought, I better just get in. So I did lower my order to get in, because it just looked like it was wanting to drop again. So I'm actually in an order right now, and it threatened to go up a little bit. I believe you can see that here on the 1-minute chart. I got in not at the current candle, but at 2 red candles back there. And so it did go up. I can't remember. I think it was like at a $20 loss at the worst point. And then it started to drop again. So it didn't get above that point. I was very happy with where my stop was. It would have been painful, but not the end of the world. So I feel like I did a pretty good job there. And then it started to drop, and I raised up my limit to kind of the bottom of those candles that it had found support at before. I think it's probably going to drop further than that, but that is a point where it will probably find a support level and maybe bounce a little bit more even. I don't know. And that's a good enough trade for me. As you can see, one thing that is not going on here is a 1 to 2 trade. I've got almost exactly the opposite. So I'm not expecting a big dollar amount on this trade. But yet I have my stop set at a loss of about $50 or so. So that's actually not a good thing. But I didn't have to worry for too long, because it dropped down. I'm at a $31 profit right now, so I locked in 0 loss here. I did move that stop down to break even and left my limit pretty much right where it was. So I think it's probably going to do well, and looks like it's going to fill any second. And I did have to raise it up because it kind of stopped a little bit higher than I thought it would. So I raised it up just a smidge and then got filled. And now I'm sitting at a $56 profit for the day with 2 trades that were both positive. And I'm going to stop there, because if you calculate that as if I was trading the ES, that would be $560 for today. So that would have been a good trading day, and that is all I need to make for right now for what I'm doing. And I'm very happy with this trading. It's just interesting to me. It must be dollar amounts that are messing with my head, because the risks that I'm taking are, they're bigger. They're dollar amount wise, they're bigger. And I can tolerate that on a much smaller scale, the MAS, a tenth the size. So if I just need to keep being bolder in my trading and tolerate just a little bit more risk, because that is the movement that it is naturally making in the market right now. And the other thing that I have changed up, and it's because I'm trading the smaller dollar amount, so I can tolerate more risk. I mean, we're talking $56 here as a great day. That's not very much at all. Shoot, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, trading over the opening bell. I think it's really interesting. The last few days of trading, I've actually held over the opening bell and done pretty well with that. So I think I need to revisit that. It is definitely riskier only because it's moving fast, but it's also fairly predictable, I guess, a little bit more predictable than I was giving it credit for, maybe, about the direction that it's going. So, I don't know. There's a couple of things to just kind of shift around and think about in my rules. But anyway, thanks for joining me.